holiday. Thought I was young, no longer young. Man, being a father, it definitely ages you. And doctor, I went to the doctor today. He said like 6 weeks recovery time. So pray for me. But I'll be all right. I'm moving around.
So what we're doing next week is drink. How are the drinks? Okay, very good. And then our team are here. If you want to introduce yourselves before we start.
Hello, Jacqueline from Senator Hanksy.
Donavan from Mckinney.
Margaret from Senator Hanksy.
Very good. So we'll start off with some updates.
Yeah.
You want to start?
Yeah, for sure. So on the corporation side, I know many of you know, I sit on appropriations. We did a supplemental budget that covered most of the school debt. So a lot of school districts across the state, including Pontiac, I believe Benton Harbor, Muskegon, Ypsilanti, Inkster. There's a few more, but we took care of that in the supplemental. It was a very small supplemental. We didn't really want to open up the can of worms just yet because we got to roll into next year's budget, and we don't know how much is going to be left. Because we spent a lot. We had a historic budget this past year that took effect in October. $82 billion budget. So the most in the state's history. And our region, the Metro Detroit area, including Detroit, got a lot of it, the most in history. And we are proud of that budget from the school aid side of things, increasing per pupil funding, all the way down to infrastructure. We're going to see those investments more and more as time goes on. But yeah, in terms of the supplemental, that was the big takeaway, was school debt was taken care of in most of the schools.
One other big piece that I'm really excited about that was in the supplemental includes the money for the settlement between the Great Lakes Water Authority and the City of Highlands Park. Highlands Park is actually in my 10th district, and as many of you probably know, there's been a battle for many, many years around the water bills there. And so in October, there was an agreement between Great Lakes Water Authority and the City of Highlands Park that basically resolves the outstanding debt, which is no longer outstanding, and then the state is investing $30 million now and more later to help with water infrastructure needs in the City of Highlands Park, which is good for not just the City of Highlands Park, but Wrren residents, residents in Detroit, residents in Oakland County, residents everywhere in the Great Lakes Water Authority region, because it will help to make sure that the water that people are paying for is getting to their houses, because there are a lot of issues with some of the water not necessarily getting there because of plumbing issues. So, and then also there's just a lot of outdated water infrastructure that needs to be fixed. So by funding the $30 million now or later, we'll be helping not just Highland Park, but really everyone. So we're really excited about that. Yeah.
And we got a few bills passed before we broke for the holiday. One of them is going to the governor's desk to be signed. It's House Bill 4885. It's the medication aid bill. So right now, only for nursing homes. Right now, you got senior certified nursing assistants who on average making minimum wage in these nursing home facilities. They can't keep up with the labor force, the labor shortage. And a lot of these nursing homes are closing. So the Nursing Home Association surprisingly worked together, came together with the union to produce this bill, which allows seniors in nursing homes to get a certification after they get a certain amount of training to be able to administer your day-to-day drugs to patients. So that is like their Advil, Tylenol, something of that nature. You still have to be overseen and supervised by an RN on site, but it allows a pathway for certified nursing assistants in these nursing homes to make a little bit more money to try to keep them at the facilities. Because right now you can make more at a fast food joint than you can at a nursing home facility. I'm not sure if you've been in any of the nursing homes right now. They're crazy packed. You got 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day in this country. And because of that, these nursing homes are getting more and more packed with a lot of our seniors. And these seniors can't really age in place because they don't necessarily have the time or resources to take care of themselves. And what's going on is it's just a big old mess. And we're just trying to figure out how to, supplement that and help. Yeah.
So, have you guys put anything in place to protect the seniors?
Yes.
And I'm asking this question because I had a mother, very dear friend of mine, who passed on October 7th, who broke her this
Yeah. So there's I don't know if you heard of our AG, Dana Nestle. She put together a package community passing, which allows more of that gross negligence that's going on to hold the worker accountable. But that happens sometimes. It doesn't really happen as much. But really what's going on is it's a huge shortage. These people are coming in and out, and they're not literally, they're getting trained, they're coming in, and they're leaving. And so you're investing in a human being in terms of a worker to come in, and they're not staying. So we're trying to do a supplement that somehow, some way. Because right now I have 6 nursing home facilities in my district alone that shut down in the past 18 months. I got another one that's shutting down at the end of this year. And it's because they can't keep up with the workers. And so, but we have done some stuff in terms of those gross negligence. We work with the AG. We'll get those, those bills with the AG that we end up passing to hold these nursing home workers accountable. We ended up getting that done, but I'm trying to see where it's at right now. But we've done some stuff on it. Yeah.
And they're not changing.
It is.
The process of trying to get her moved.
Yeah, these facilities are terrible.
They are.
One thing too, a good resource to check out is, so there's an office called the Long-Term Care Ombudsman. I've met with them before. During COVID, there were a number of nursing homes in my district that had violations. So the Long-Term Care Ombudsman, their job is to go in and see what is going on, and then basically force that nursing home to get together, basically. So they're a good resource. Long-term care
What's the department number, do you know? Yeah. We can get those contacts and send it to you.
It would be live.
It will be large.
Laura, stands for Licensing and Regulatory Affairs.
Laura.
And it sounds like Laura. But,
Laura.
in terms of some other bills that passed through the legislature, we had a couple of bills that just got signed last week related to domestic violence, to help protect domestic violence survivors from further abuse. This is actually something that we're working on for 5+ years. Basically, the idea is to ensure that someone who's convicted of misdemeanor domestic violence will be prohibited from having a firearm for 8 years after their sentence is completed. 31 now. Michigan became the 32nd state to have a law like this on the books, and it will save lives because we know that domestic violence is something that escalates. So something that might be a misdemeanor the first time, we know in the next time or the time after that will be more serious. And when we have a gun in the situation, the likelihood that the victim may die, if it is a woman in a domestic violence situation, actually increases by 5 times. So by simply removing the firearm from the situation, we're going to save a lot of lives. We also passed a big clean energy package, which will get signed tomorrow. And, definitely not perfect. There were a lot of things that, many folks wanted to see happen that were not in the final bills. But we do believe this is a positive step forward with getting us to a goal of 100% clean energy by 2040, and by that was one of the major bills. I'm really excited about the bill giving our Public Service Commission, which is the entity that regulates our utility companies, a little bit more teeth to be able to ensure that our utility companies, as they're making their rates, that they have to consider things like affordability, climate, health, equity, and then there's a whole package around siting.
Yeah. Yeah, citing. So, what's going on around that? It was led by Majority Floor Leader Abraham Mayash. And so, on the siding portion of it, it allows localities, municipalities in particular, who might get approached by a developer, solar developer, whoever, who wants to try to put solar panels up and make solar farms. What's going on is it really streamlines that process. So locals will still have a say, so to speak, but the state can come in and try to figure out, okay, what is the common goal here to try to lower our energy costs? Because right now there's a lot of misinformation going around saying these pieces of legislation is going to lower your energy costs. I tell folks all the time, I'm pissed off because our reliability issues is going on, and that's what Detroit in particular. Like, I talk about this all the time when I was afraid about it. Since my son's been alive, he'll be 2 in January. So he's 20, he'll be 22 months old, literally tomorrow. And since he's been alive, we lost power 17 times.
Wow.
17 times. And so, like, I'm fed up. Like, my wife's fed up. Like, I hear it all the time. My community's fed up. Russ in the crowd, he's fed up. Like, it's unbelievable. And we still have to pay these high rates. And so, we're trying to do something to say, hey, you know what? Let's look at the spread of the clean energy. Let's look at different ways to get off the grid, because you can't always rely on the grid. And then when the grid goes down, what do you do in those emergency situations? We don't even have emergency centers that we can rely on because they still rely on the grid. But when the grid doesn't work, what happens? And so this is a part of, working together with the grid, but also building some, like upgrading the grid, but also building something that you can rely on once the power goes out, because we're going to get more storms. They're happening more often. They're becoming more severe and more dangerous, and it's putting all of our health at risk, to be honest with you. So that siding portion is key. We were able to do a little bit of it. It's not perfect, but we were able to do something. Oh yeah, they're doing the right there on the 6 mile. So it's part of your district, part of my district. It's like 6 mile. They're doing putting the lines underground.
Oh, okay.
In the most like overburdened communities. So part of our district, southern into Detroit, the 6 mile corridor, they get hit a lot. Like, there's not a week that goes by that they're not out of power. It could be like a day like today, not really too high winds. It's not raining or anything like that, and it'll just go out. And so they need to put the infrastructure in place. And a lot of times they have power lines in operation from the 1800s. So that's over 100 years old. No wonder why power keeps going out. So we are helping DTE because DTE has a monopoly over our system, especially in Detroit, where we need to make sure they win so our community wins. And so it's a struggle. Some people say utilities are winning, but we have to do everything we possibly can to support and literally boost up this infrastructure immediately.
Honestly, whenever you go underground, that's a good thing.
It is.
So I have lived in several different neighborhoods in Detroit, and when I lived the closest to downtown, in Lafayette Park, and we had underground, our power never went out. I think it maybe went out once in 8 years, and then when I lived in East English Village, well, it just went out a whole bunch of times. So
Like Palmer Woods,
underground,
they just did underground not too long ago, like maybe 2 years ago. They rarely have power outages over here in Palmer Woods. That's a neighborhood in Detroit, close to but yeah.
Has anyone ever proposed that there be mandatory load testing? Because when we're looking at 100-year-old wires, that says something. Here in Wrren, all of a sudden we have 85% of the marijuana growing facilities that moved to Wrren. And because of that, they pull a lot of electricity. But when you have an area where the power has gone out, say in excess of 3 times in a calendar year, we should have an independent group come in and actually do load testing and mandatory make them get fixed. I don't trust DTE or consumers powers, sorry. But right now, we've got 100-year-old lines, we've got power going out all the time. In our community center library, it's gone up 5 times this year. In our library, and this is ridiculous. That's right here in 14 Mile.
That's supposed to be an emergency hub.
I know.
Yeah, and he goes out. So
But we need to have some sort of mandatory load testing that could set the criteria. If it doesn't this much, then, and it has to be an independent group. It cannot be one of these people. And coming in and doing some load testing, because obviously BTE and Consumer Powers are able to manage their own infrastructure when it comes to power.
we could talk to Dan Scripps, who's the chair of the Michigan Public Service Commission. We had him in the district, what was it, back in June. It was early June when we had him. And some of the community came out and told him their ideas. He was like, man, we got to do this more often. So part of this budget, we were able to say to MPSC, in order to get your money, you have to host community meetings. Because right now, they're in their bubble in Lansing. That's all they do is host their rape cases in Lansing. But I told them, you have to hear from the community first, because they're the ones who can provide you with ideas and maybe some things that we can work on and hopefully come to fruition. So I think that's a great idea. And I'm gonna tell him, because he's required to have now 4 meetings throughout the year in the community. And at least one of them has to be in our Detroit area.
Yep.
So I'm gonna make sure that he comes to our district again and we'll bring that up. But I'm gonna bring it up a little more earlier than that. So we'll see what we can do about it. That's a great idea. I haven't even heard that before. See, this is why we keep talking to you guys. I love it.
That's all you
Yeah. Mandatory load testing. Think about that. Yeah.
I'm with we people of Detroit, and as you know, we are very much concerned that everyone has access to clean, safe, and affordable water.
Yeah.
And so we're very much supportive of the bills that have been submitted on behalf of the citizens, you know, in your area. We'd like to know exactly, you know, how you're going to provide status reports, and also there'll be an opportunity to engage the public, you know, in terms of amendments down the line.
Yeah, so far we've had hearings in both the House and the Senate, and on our legislation around water affordability. And basically, for those who are unfamiliar, this is something that both Reps Mckinney and I have been working on for a long time, and along with a lot of community stakeholders. And this year we had a work group of both water providers and water advocates and the Department of Human Services, community action agencies, etc. And basically put together legislation that moves the ball forward in terms of actually Michigan would become a model. You know, no other state in the country has a water affordability program at the state level, where we would ensure that low-income households would pay not more than 3% of household income on water. And there's a funding mechanism bill, an actual affordability bill, a shut-off protection bill, and then a couple of other also very important bills. So we had some hearings on these bills in October, in the House and the Senate. So where we are right now is that we've had testimony on those bills, but we do need to, when the session starts up again, resume that work in the committee to be able to get them moving forward. There are a couple of really great suggestions that came up in, at least on the Senate side of the committee, that we're incorporating into the bills to, so one of the concerns, for example, was from a Republican colleague of mine in Northern Michigan, who wants to make sure that every single community, regardless of if it's small or big, will be getting money to ensure that they have water affordability. And it's a totally reasonable suggestion, so we're actually building that in. And then we're also working through some concerns that have been shared by some county folks in Tennessee, and then also working through phone. So we're hoping that we can resolve those concerns, and then, you know, trying to just keep the ball moving forward. So could do this, we would help tens of thousands of Michiganders with their water bills, and we would be just honestly something that I hope that other states will get as well. So I'm excited about it. Yeah.
When I worked in the water system, I was always told that the system by law could only charge for the actual cost of service. Today, they are putting fixed costs, which never existed prior to the 1990s for 140 years. But they now put fixed costs on, so that if you use no water, and I have a vacant house I'm fixing, they want $35 a month with no water and sewer issues. Okay? One of the charges, as you know, is the drainage fees. They started that at $125 a month per impervious acre. They're now charging $695 per impervious acre per month. Okay? And so an impervious acre meaning surfaces that won't absorb water, right? And so this isn't just affecting residents, it's affecting businesses and churches. One of our neighborhood churches is being charged $40,000 a year for rainfall. We have businesses that have large storage areas of dirt, 12 acres in one case, and they're being charged $100,000 a year for rainfall on their dirt. This is violating what I understood was state law, that you have to charge the actual cost of service. So just the drainage fee in 6 years has gone up 450%. There's no cost of service related to that. You know, they're not. Frankly, people I talked to in management at DWSD that I was with when I started in the water pipe, they all privately say it's a scam. This is one of the major costs of the water bill. And I wanted to know if there's some way that the state can be involved in evaluating the actual cost of service versus what's being charged to us.
So it's a great question. Definitely familiar with the issue, although I'll be honest, I'm not totally up to speed on sort of where I know there are a number of lawsuits, and I don't know where things are currently. You know?
I can tell you one that's been tied up in the court for 6 years. It's going up to the appeals court for the second time, and then it may eventually make it to the Supreme Court. But that's challenging the constitutionality of the drainage fee, because it's legally it's a tax because of its mandatory nature. The city said in its filings that the drainage fee on our water bills was voluntary. Anybody here believe that? No. I mean, they lie, frankly. And so we don't know where that's eventually going to end. But even on the constitutionality question, if they're still violating the law, this lawsuit doesn't deal with it because it started as soon as the drainage fee started in 2017. But it still doesn't challenge the question of whether they're overcharging by a order of magnitude. That will be in the bill.
Yeah, thanks for raising that. We can definitely look into that. I feel like I want to dig in more to the, that's the issue. So we understand it affects a lot of churches and a lot of big parking lots.
There's a buffer shop in Detroit that's been there for 80 years now, and they shut down because they can't afford to stay open because of the drainage fees. And so they're moving to 2%
I have a question. Yes, my name is Morel Humphill, and I'm with Great Lakes Environmental Law Center. I work in coalition with the people of Detroit on water issues. What Ms. McClellan was saying earlier about the legislation, if you mentioned, Senator Chang, that there's a Republican colleague who introduced some language that was reasonable. What is that language?
Yeah. Basically, the idea that we are incorporating in is to ensure that a certain percentage of the funding goes to communities where they have less than 10,000 people, which actually mirrors things that we put in other water-related legislation in years past. So in last year, I think it was 2 years before, I can't remember, when we did a big water infrastructure supplemental, we included basically identical language to ensure that a certain percentage money doesn't all just come to bigger communities, which I think is totally fair because there is poverty everywhere. And so we have to make sure that whether you're a low-income household, Detroit, or a low-income household in tiny little villages in UP, we've got to make sure that everyone is able to receive the help that they need. So that's the goal of that.
100%, I definitely agree with that. And so with that, are there any other criteria for that under 10,000 rural community, or is there anything else that you
I think right now it's just the population threshold. Yep.
And then I have another question. I know throughout the process, as Mr. Cohen asked, how are we making sure that community stays at the table throughout the entire process, so that we are able to have, I guess, in real time updates and really continue to be in those conversations?
Yeah. So one thing that I really loved about this work group is that there has been just such a great combination of folks, and we were a part of this work group as well, where we had folks who represent, community, we have affected residents who have been sharing their stories, and then we've also, of course, got the water providers as well as community action agencies who work every single day with residents to help them with their various bills. So it has been just like a really balanced group in terms of folks who represent all these different perspectives. And so we definitely feel like the voices of folks who have been impacted very much been a part of the bills. And that's why I think we saw so many affected residents actually, like their press conference announcing the bills, speaking out in favor of the bills. So we're excited about that.
I just had a comment, my comment, it's no surprise to you or to Rep. Mckinney that Wayne County Community College District does not support Senate Bill 463, and I know it's out of the Senate going to the House, and I think you guys will probably hear it next year. Just having that FAFSA be a requirement for graduation, it's a non-education requirement, and it does not provide, the opt-out is not sufficient to say what people are opting out of, and that data that's going to be reported by SEPSI and how that's going to impact students, parents that have non-traditional types of employment, and that whole reporting mechanism, it's going to not make the community and parents comfortable with going forward and having students, if they don't apply for the FAFSA, they can't receive their high school diploma.
So thank you. I know that we discussed this the day of the vote in the Senate. So I actually worked with the bill sponsor on some language related to the opt-outs. And so I think that if there's additional conversation that we can have, let's talk about it. But really the goal of this bill is to make sure that more people are getting FAFSA filled out, so that more folks, especially underrepresented folks.
And I think we can get there. I think that we need to look at incentivizing, perhaps there's some type of incentive, you know what I'm trying to say, incentivize people that fill it out, that they get some additional funding perhaps.
So I know that Senator Cavallari, who is the sponsor of the bill but also chairs the K-12 budget in Senate, is really wanting to look at making sure that we allocate more money for high school counselors so that we can get more counsel. We have one of the worst ratios in the country when it comes to counselors to students, and so that really hurts a lot of students who are then not necessarily getting the help that they need to be able to fill out a college application, fill out FAFSA, or explain like what career options there are. But the idea behind the FAFSA requirement bill is to make sure that more students, especially are filling out the FAFSA so that they can even have the opportunity to get to college, because college is so ridiculously expensive. But there are a lot of opt-out provisions, so we did try to work with them on that.
And opting out is not, we don't need people, if I did everything that I need to do to graduate, that shouldn't be the barrier for me getting, and my parents, perhaps they don't work traditional employment and they work a number of different types of non-traditional employment and don't have the documentation. So it's already some reluctance and suspicion about providing this information to government agencies and that, and then the student is not able to get their diploma.
So the idea though is that if any of that applies, they can just literally opt out. And so, and we made it to, I know that the language is corrected so that it's very broad. You can opt out for like almost any possible reason.
Yeah.
But let's keep talking about it.
Yeah,
If
we
there's
need
some
to keep
language
talking.
tweaks that we can make, definitely open and, definitely talk to some households to see
Yeah.
what can be done.
I know we talked, and Chairman Carter, or the Detroit caucus, we've been having some discussions.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we keep that out there.
Oh, yeah, man, listen, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we all share the same goal, right?
I know.
We want more kids to have the opportunity for higher education.
And perhaps we just have parents get the incentive for completing it.
Yeah.
We use that as the incentive.
We are scared.
I think it's also like qualify for financial aid, filling out the form allows the students to full filling out
Question from this side of the room? I don't think. Want to make sure this is clear for everyone.
Ms. Moore, I love you, Ms. Moore. You've been in my corner for very long.
Can you have, you came to our conference, and you made mention of the money that comes to District 3
Yes.
funds.
Yeah.
We want to know what is the process and the goal to how it's going to be dispersed, and is it not going to be just an area, we want to spread it and make it.
Yes, so my goal now, we took care of some big ticket items. So just for you guys to know what's going on the pro side for the district, we were able to get $1.5 million for Warren Parks and Rec Department. We were able to get $1.25 million for Centerline Parks and Rec. A few more million, like I think $7 million for Centerline water infrastructure issues that's going on. Because Centerline is a small little city of 9,000 or so people, and they were going to potentially go into like major debt and like potential bankruptcy if we did not help them out. So we were able to get some dollars to help out with their water infrastructure issues. We were able to get, for Detroit, we were able to get $700,000 for the Counter Creek. Used to be the old hospital, Holy Cross on Auto Drive and Van Dyke in the district, where we get $700,000. It's actually a facility that does a lot of outpatient mental health. We're expanding their mental health services there, and we were able to get also a couple million, $2 million for Farlow Recreation Center on the Detroit side of the district. Appreciate the Senator for rubber stamping a lot of what I was thinking, because we wanted to take care of more Parks and Rec, getting kids and a community together and building out those spaces. And so right now we're in the process of like going through the channels, working with the cities to make sure they're filling out the paperwork correctly. So I think the deadline is going to be January, sometime in January, and they have to get the paperwork in order to get those dollars. And once those dollars are received, we're going to be hearing from the community how to spend those dollars and what you guys would like to see for the Parks and Rec and all that. I know Warren has just elected a whole new administration. I'm proud of the city of Warren. They elected their first female mayor, former state rep Lori Stone, and the first person of color, amazing black woman named Melody McGee.
Yes.
Who's the city council person, I believe, in this district.
Yes, yes.
And they sent some good people back, like Angela Rogency, who's at large, and the council, a few other folks. But you guys got some good, and by the way, Warren has a lot of ARPA dollars still left. And I've been talking with the mayor about it, Lori Stone.
Yes.
and how they need to spend that really quickly. Because if they don't spend it, they gotta send it back to the feds. And we don't want to send anybody, we don't want to send any money back to the federal government, because y'all know what DC's looking like right now. They barely can keep a speaker in office for I don't know how long. So, yeah.
So my board and we are community resource advocates and employees of the people who are on government positions and seniors. We help take down the resources that are available to the community. One of the programs we help connect to is the food program. But from my understanding, that's primarily for seniors. And they do this for mothers. So what do you guys have any programs or are you allocating your funds to any new programs that will help people who are not in those categories?
The food.
And not, we're not necessarily on food stamps.
Yeah,
We're not food stamps.
we did something with, it's so much of this budget. We did a lot with food programs. Because I sit on that, I'm just trying to remember exactly what we did. But we invested some outside of it. We did some stuff with the youth with the 4-H programs, but more importantly, we did something for like the Gleaners and Forgotten Harvests, things of that nature, those churches with food banks, they can kind of tap into some state resources. I can't remember how much exactly, but I can circle back with you. But we've done some stuff around it. I just can't, in my mind, because there's a lot of numbers in my head, I can't bring down what number exactly we invested. But we invested some dollars.
So we'll look it up and get back. But that's great. I appreciate you raising that because food is
It's key.
something we're going to talk about enough. And not everyone has access to the fund.
Yeah. And we're expanding like medication. So there's programs out there, say you need a healthier diet, the doctor tells you, hey, you don't help your diet. If you qualify for it, it's called like food prescription. I just was in a meeting with them, and they're prescribing a healthier diet in order for you to live a healthier life. And so we were able to get dollars into those programs for folks, especially, Rocky, you got to pull it up? Go ahead. Yes, fresh prescription. I meet with so many people, I forget the title. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, it's somewhere.
Yeah. But we were able to like go to neighborhood to neighborhood, especially in Detroit, but also the surrounding areas, including Warren and Settlement and all that. But like, I don't know if you heard of like Easter Market downtown, but those fresh food markets that's coming to the neighborhoods, that's how we're able to like funnel those dollars in. And we put, I think, we increased it, we doubled the funding for that actually. And then you know those food dollars, like those food bucks that like double up. We got that back, and we did some other things too. I just can't remember.
Universal school meals.
Oh yes, universal school meals
Yeah.
too. And that extends through the summer too, because like those meet up and eat up programs, and we're able to get those dollars. Shout out to the federal government too, they gave us a lot of money and stuff like that too. Even though they took away free lunch.
You said it's like universal food. What?
They took away your
Universal
money?
school meals, which basically
No, the
means
feds
that
did. We had a supplement.
literally, if you
Okay.
go to
They
school,
took away the dollars, but we put the money back in
Okay,
there.
I got you.
It's weird how it works.
Okay.
Your income eligibility, just everyone is eligible to share the meal. Some school districts were already doing that, so Detroit, they were doing that, and Oakland County, there were some who were doing that already as well. But it totally changed things for this fall, when kids started going back to school, and parents were like, oh, they get free meals, it's amazing. So it is gonna help a lot, so we're doing it.
That's true. And you gotta think about those kids who aren't in school, right, in the summer. And they don't have those resources at home, they're home more, they're not eating, so we were able to do the meet up and eat ups and have those lunch programs. And I think they got breakfast too, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yeah, it's 3 meals, yeah, and dinner. So I'm excited about that, because the feds, they cut those dollars for the free lunch program. So we had to come in at the state and supplement it. So we're one of the few states that have a universal free lunch.
So the hope though is that because we did that for this year,
Yeah.
so we'll have to keep funding.
You gotta carry it
Which
on.
means that we have to show how successful it is, and we know how.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my job now, because I told you earlier in the conversation, we had a stored budget. Our job now is to try to figure out how to keep the funding levels the same and not cut.
Right.
So, because we don't have the same amount of money coming in from the federal government, because they don't have their SHIT together. So we gotta figure this out on our end, and that's going to be a difficult job to do, but we have to do it. I don't want to cut anything.
One of the things that I forgot to mention that I just wanted to throw out there because I think it's going to make a big difference for a lot of people is we had a whole big package related to juvenile justice reform, which is very exciting. It was very
State Rep
bipartisan.
Stephanie Young
Yeah.
on the west side, and she has Detroit referee Livonia, led this package through. I mean, amazing. I mean, you were part of the package too.
Yeah. And so it does a lot of things, but basically the whole idea is to make sure that that our juvenile justice system is doing what it is supposed to do, which is to make sure that that we treat kids as kids, and so that if they make a mistake, that we're putting them in an appropriate placement. Because some kids shouldn't be in a residential facility; they actually should be at home and in the services that they need, help that they need in order to become a more productive person. And so a lot of this package is dedicated to making sure that before someone decides, oh, here's where we're going to put this child who made a mistake, we're going to actually do an assessment to find out where should this person be, and then put them in the appropriate place. So that way, one, we will hopefully help with addressing, because there's a lot of issues with the juvenile facilities, which are being worked at, but also to make sure that we're getting kids the best possible outcomes. And a number of us had, I think we might have been on to the package, the part of the package related to fines and fees. So in Cole and Wayne, it was already decided that we would not put on these fines and fees for juveniles, but in every other county in the state, they were assessing just all types of fees to these juveniles, which basically meant that their parents, and a lot of times parents, if they didn't have the money to pay, were not paying these fees, so then courts were actually spending more money trying to collect fees that they weren't able to get because we couldn't afford to pay fees. So it was just kind of a totally backward system. There were some really egregious cases where families owed like tens of thousands of dollars and just were never going to be able to climb out of the hole for a mistake that their child made, and then they had no way of paying back this debt. So by getting rid of these fines and fees, we're going to be helping a lot of families as well. So I'm really excited.
Speaking of fines and fees, another thing that we were able to pass the House is coming over to the Senate. My bill, House Bill 5103. And this bill is key because right now it's a transportation bill. It changes the vehicle code. So say you get pulled over without a license, right? And you get a ticket for not having a license. You also get a ticket for running a red light or running a stop sign. Right now, because you didn't have a license at the time, even though you paid the tickets off, you got adjudicated for everything, because you didn't have a license at the time when you got pulled over, you have to wait 3 additional years in order to petition the state to get your license. So I found this out just a few months ago. I was like, no wonder. Like, it's not like we have mass transit that we can all rely on. We're working on it, but comprehensive mass transit that we can rely on in this metro region. And so what do you do in that 3-year waiting period? You're just going to drive again. You have to get to work. You got to do this. And so many fines and fees pile up on people, they can never get out of it. And a lot of them ended up going to jail and doing all this stuff, and just creates a whole record. So our bill just eliminates the 81 words in the driver vehicle code that says you have to wait 3 additional years. Once you get a DUI, you do whatever, but you still have to go through the same process. You just don't have to wait 3 additional years in order to receive your license. So it passed the House in a bipartisan fashion. It's coming over to the Senate. We ran out of time, but Senator Erica Geis, who's the chair of transportation in the Senate, is going to hear it. We're going to do a hearing. But you'll be surprised how many people were impacted by this. It's not just a black and white issue. This is a poverty issue. This is a poverty issue. And we took drivers training out to schools. We're trying to figure out how to get it back in. But like a lot of these kids, you talk to those youth, they don't realize you need a license to drive. Like, I'm going to be be honest, like it's not conceptualized. So no, for real. You wanna, no, I'm serious.
I've talked to some of them. They absolutely.
They don't know. Nobody talks to these kids
Absolutely.
and tell them. So they get pulled. They do dumb stuff. Like they do stupid stuff, and then they get pulled on. You gotta wait 3 additional years.
Yeah.
Rep. McKinney, what's the
Yeah.
bill number?
5103.
510.
Yep, House Bill 5103. So we were proud to get that done. We were trying to get it over the hump real quick. We ran out of time, but January should happen.
I have a quick question. You said you mentioned you ran out of time. When is the session end? Officially?
Last 2 weeks ago.
Just November 9th. When
It
did
was
we
a
end?
week. Well, technically, well, then we had to wait through the.
Okay, well, technically it was
Technically,
November 14th, but
yeah.
we weren't there. So.
Yeah. And then we go back, at least we go back January 11th. Yeah, or that's our first session.
Official,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
You mentioned Parks and Rec grant money. Is there other grants that, so like in the city, we really only have one, to be the third largest city, we only have one recreation center. And it costs us to, like, I have to pay a fee to get in because I have to pay for the building with my tax dollars already. That's a whole separate thing. But there's only one recreation center in the city at the north end of the city. There is one other one that's shut down and needs, frankly, some money to get it up to, like, at least usable status. And the other one that we call our recreation center is actually owned by the school district. And it was built back in World War II, and it's actually a wood beam building. So that's how like old it is. It was built to be torn down. But the school doesn't want to tear it down because it's historic. It's not. So there's no recreation to the south end of the city. You have to drive all the way 25 minutes north. If you don't have a car, trying to use bikes, it's not feasible for most people. Are there grants or other opportunities that even, whether we can show to our council or like as residents advocate for, to provide like better opportunities?
there actually was a community center grant. I'm assuming it'll get re-upped again at some point.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the city of Warren applied for one or not, but there were some grant, probably not. But there was a grant program available for community centers. The deadline on there were kind of.
It did. So I talked to y'all new mayor, Lori Stone. It's freaking phenomenal. She's on it. And one of the hiccups about Warren, being the third largest city in the state, they had big issues with the past administration and the council. It could never come together. That's why you guys still have like tens of millions of dollars on the table. Right. Like if you guys don't spend it in the next couple of months, you're gonna have to send it back. So we can add, like, I'm advocating to Lori, like, spend those dollars as soon as possible, be strategic about it, but then come to us and say, okay, what are the gaps what are the rest of the gaps we need to fill? And then that's my job and Stephanie's job and Paul Bueno and all the Warren delegation to figure out, okay, what can we do at the state to, supplement that. But we were able to get $1.5 million, which was a stretch for Warren because I'm dead serious. I was talking to the governor. She didn't want to give no money to Warren because Warren had all this money left over. And they're like, is Warren really going to come together and spend it? So now you guys got new leadership, which is freaking phenomenal. And hopefully you guys can work together and we can get some more dollars from the city.
No, we won't. There's a big fight. No,
It's not.
that's not, this is not the time. No, there's still a fight between the city council and the mayor. Huge fight.
We'll see.
So maybe we'll
We're praying for the
some more
best.
funds.
Yeah.
Praying for the best.
The people who stop votes are still gonna try to stop Lori.
Oh, got it.
The meeting's tonight at 6. I'm gonna watch it. No, it's not gonna make it over.
Private times, the word on the street is private people trying to mine the center. Would they still be funded through the state?
It just depends on like what type of deal it is. You don't have to worry about Farwell. The city is not giving that up. But like the old Lasky, which is 7 on the Van Dyke, which is like Safe Play Detroit, which Mitch Album and Matthew Stafford made some few investments at that facility. I was trying to figure out how to get some dollars for them. They're technically a nonprofit. And it's a little harder to do, but we'll see what we can do to try to get the dollars to them. But like, we need to support rec centers all across our community, not just in Detroit, but in Warren, Centerline, because that's where, for me, rec centers kept me out of trouble. Like, you guys know what's going on in the streets. I mean, the crime is high. And these kids are getting into the street life real quick. And if we don't figure out ways to correct it and have programs available for them to distract and then provide a place, a safe place for them to learn and grow, you're gonna see them go a different direction. And so me being one of the youngest legislators right now, I'm 31, I'll look at these kids, I'm like, man, you guys don't have too much of anything for you guys to do. And so we were able to get dollars and expand programs like the STEM programs and after school programs and some stuff that the government used to fund.
Yes.
And then now it's like more third party and philanthropy groups funding. But I think it's government's role to provide that. So that's near and dear to my heart. I know it's near and dear to Senator Shane's heart. And we were able to get some dollars this time around to support programs for that purpose.
Hi, I'm Gwen Howard. I'm with the people of Detroit as well as the Green Detroit, which is a neighborhood-based nonprofit with Pastor Alonzo Bell on the District 4 East Side over there. So I know that the state has changed their structure for food stamps, for applying for assistance. Everything, the computer system has changed. I say that because I've been retired 13 years. And then coming out along with the Wrren administration, they adopted a new computer system called Bridges, which was so far in the garbage. You know, if it didn't work way back there, why did you pay all that money to get here? Now, because I keep in touch with them because we're a resource community church and we try to keep people updated with resources on how to get housing or food or whatever. I still have that job as resource coordinator. Retired, but
Never retired.
No, worked hard since I retired. But my question is, since the holidays, and then people start coming into churches because churches try to fund resources.
Yeah.
When they give out money to these entities, what research is done when you actually go to a community that's serving the people by off the hands of their members and their donations or their funding and whatever. Since Thanksgiving, I know we've had like 15 families come to the church for food. So they said, I try to refer them to Harvest.
Yeah.
They have to go through so much red tape. They got to be denied here with a referral from here with this, and their families with children. And you're trying to figure out, well, we're doing all we can do over here with no resources.
Yeah.
The state has a habit of giving funding to name red entities that are not doing the work. They don't have their boots on the ground, but because their name recognition has come through, they send funding there, and you can't even verify what they're doing with it. But the communities and the churches that are doing the work, they got 29 papers to go through to get some funding or to get some donations or to get something that way. Hunger is real, and especially in the city of Detroit. Things are just really, really crazy. So what do we do when you call in, you refer them to 211, 411, all the 111s, they don't help because they send them on another thing. They already homeless or on the verge of being homeless, and they don't have food, they have children. The referrals are not there. The resources are not there for them to just go in and get something to sustain them. And of course, being a retired social worker / resource coordinator for the state, I want to know why you don't have food stamps. It doesn't happen. It used to be, if you came in and applied for food stamps today, you got them today, and the 30-day period would determine if you're eligible for the long-term issuance of food stamps. But that's not even the case now because most people are working from home and they're not even seeing people. They don't have caseloads anymore. It's whoever answers the phone. So it's just not a paper trail for them. So as representatives, what are you guys doing for the real local foots on the ground people that come in for resources? It's nowhere to refer them.
Yeah.
The guys in Congress used to, but now they got to have numbers, a referral from here, a denial from the SDR program to get to this. It's really ridiculous.
I would just point out that our teams are also available, so if you have folks coming to you that need help navigating DHHS resources, to please have them also call us, because we can help with that. I don't know, Jackie, or if you want to add anything on that, but I do think that you're right, that there are a lot of groups that are just completely overburdened to provide the resources and that don't have enough resources. So, we definitely hear you. I think that we can try to look into it and see what else more we can do.
So there's groups, like, you're absolutely right in terms of the name brand, like literally the names that we all know and love.
They don't even have facilities anymore, but their name is still giving them
Yeah, the
money.
state is willing to cut the check.
But you
for
guys
them.
are giving it to them. They're not just getting it out the air. The government is giving it to them.
So I ask you, if you have a plan that you guys already can put together and present to us, I can go advocate on your behalf and say, hey, we need to fund groups like this.
For sure. And you
So
probably
like,
have.
I've done it a couple times already because of like the non-name brand, like, oh, you know what is this group? I'm like, well, this group kind of does this, but more on the ground. And then they're like, all right, you know what? Let's see. Let's give them a pilot program. Let's just see. So my job is to try to figure out, okay, what are those pilot programs? How can we sustain that funding? But you're absolutely right. Like, that's some of the mind-boggling stuff. Like, we're going through Z and Rock can tell you right now, we got an application, a SIR app, which is State Emergency Relief, which is supposed to get immediate relief. This person is making, I think, $1,380. They're $1,380 every 2 weeks. They're every month. They're like, the cost of living, I'm talking about rent is $1,300.
You think I don't know?
So like, the average rent right now in Metro Detroit is $1,600. And it's like, in terms of funding and what can we do to get that dollars like to those groups that are really doing the work, that's what we gotta do to try to figure out how to step in. But we need to know. We need to know. And so this is part of the dialogue conversation.
And we did.
But you guys got those plans ready, we can push it.
We got ready.
We
We
can
did
push
in
it.
Detroit. We did in Detroit. And we just fed 225 sit-down dinners last Saturday, and we gave away 85 baskets in conjunction with the Neighborhood Block Club and Black Families Now with Pastor Bill at Redeem Detroit. I know because I was one of the chefs, so I definitely know we set up for 200 sit-down and 50 extra in case they wanted to come and carry out and didn't want to sit down. We got no funding from anybody. We got it from our church members. We got it from Black Families Now and the Kelly Block Club. But this is something we do on a regular basis. And then they came back because they got what they got. So they were here Sunday. Same family. Some of them said that now they need it for the next week. And we do what we do. We furnish our pantry. We do raffles and keep it furnished. But I've noticed on the outside looking in that funding goes here and they are here with a lot of church members. So they get funding, but they're not doing any work.
That's true.
Sorry.
Yeah,
We are over time. We do have a couple more hands, and so I want to make sure that we.
Yeah, we're gonna take offline.
Yeah, but
But
let's
can
keep
I say this last thing is, I know those bigger groups get those dollars, and they're supposed to be cutting those checks to the little groups, and they don't. So that's something we also gotta talk about.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, not behind.
So,
We need to
sorry,
talk
let's,
about
I
it
there's a
now.
couple more hands. I just want to make sure we're here for everyone, and we also know. If you need to go, feel free to go.
Not just the breakfast, I think you guys talked about the youth and breakfast, but what about programs that are overnight? They are the next generation. We are trying to, there are teachers who have actually retired, that's why such a shortage in school districts, because they can't teach. It's about the paperwork. So there are teachers who are out here trying to get in these schools to teach programs that are teaching how to do this business skills and ethics, or teaching them the things that are not offered in under-resourced communities, like how to speak Spanish fluently and those kind of programs that are ready to partner and go into different places to make sure our kids are getting these services. So even that, like she said, where is the resources for us to be able to get the things to our children that are needed for them to move to the next level? Because they're going to be the ones taking over. And so we need to figure out how can we get these programs, and like I said, they have the money, but because they're not used to our kids being taught these subjects or being taught differently, they're still blocking you from being able to come in and teach these things. So we need to figure out how can we get programs to our children that are going to be beneficial to them.
To answer that real quick, MMA, Michigan Nonprofit Association, they're a great resource that the state helps fund, and they're kind of like the entity where the state funds and then they're able to cut checks to groups like your group, maybe even the food group, but more so like youth development, community development, stuff like that. M&A will be a good resource. Michigan Nonprofit Association.
Oh, hello. How are you? I'm actually from Flint, Michigan originally.
Fly City?
I moved here in 2008 and I came back. Well, I had left and went to Dallas and came back and chased my dream. Actually, I've been here for 3 years and I am doing phenomenal. But like what she just said, I really understand you and I really would love to talk to you because I am the solution. I go door to door. I'm out here literally till like 3 o'clock in the morning servicing my people. I never have really any problems with getting them what they need. So I understand that you guys have like different angles that you go about. But what I can tell you is that I'm a real advocate. I'm in the city nonstop every day. I'm in Oakland County, I'm in Genesee County. I have advocates all around, and this is what we do with all of our heart. And I do get that it is funding there. And I'm trying to understand as well as elevate, with my business. I do have nonprofit. I just got the Wayne County Black Chamber of Commerce. I was brought into that. So everything is coming together. But I really want to understand how y'all just don't see that all we have to do is get involved. You know what I mean? Like it's more involved. I have became like a social worker on steroids. My phone is like DHS office on steroids. I've never come to a situation, even if it's just prayer in the middle of the night. I don't care what people are going through. I have suicide calls calling me, traumatizing me in the middle of the night, where I have to get to these people. And that's what I'm just saying. Like if we can just understand that it really takes the heart. I get that the funding is there, but I can show you how to keep going. Without the funding, you get me until it get there. I can show you I'm involved, and it is. It's overwhelming. It's so overwhelming. My mom be so mad because I be in the worst areas, and I come out okay though. I'm not scared of them. I'm around them. Yes, a lot of them are so infected that it might not be no coming back. Yes, it might not be, but who's to say that we're not God? We can't make that choice, So as my advocate, like I'm doing my job and understanding, I'm gonna say it like this to end it, that it can all stop if we just come together and understand literally. It's going back into, like she said, that old social workers that care, they are not available. I also do home health care. I do a lot. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm striving to be a serial entrepreneur. I don't think that that's gonna happen because I'm perfect. I'm going crazy. You know what I mean? Trying to maintain all of this. But the social worker, the heart of those social workers that really cared about their caseloads, those things in place, like my mother said with the seniors, I go into a lot of these senior buildings and I'm watching how they're being taken care of, and I speak up. And yes, things do happen after I speak up. So I understand that maybe people aren't speaking up enough. Maybe we aren't holding each other accountable and holding arms and really coming in together as a people to really service these people, because it's getting worse. My city is way more crazy. Like I have to like get away from there to come here because I'm here and there, But when I'm watching, I don't want that to happen to y'all. What I just saw Flint, Michigan going through, because it's really getting to the point where they don't think there's no coming back from this, like how it is, So they're looking to execute really all. They're getting people out of there and trying to make it into a college town. So really, if you're not going there trying to get educated and things like that. They don't care. They don't care how you're treated. They don't care what's the outcome of your future. So I don't know what to do, but I'm willing to help, So if you guys need any type of understanding, because it does take some time to get a little understanding of the streets. You know what I'm saying? And know, so, show me how to get involved. I would love to talk to people. I would love to talk to you. If this is something that's near and dear to my heart, thank you, Mom, for letting me come and experience this for Wayne County, because I've always did it for Genesee County, you know. It's hard for me to get my foot here. I'm just out serving, you know, so for you guys to come up with like water issues, you know how long our water's been messed up? Do you know about the lead situation, the glitches in their brain, autism rate on an all-time high? I'm talking about it's you don't want what happened to my city to happen here. So I don't know what else to say that I'm involved. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to take your job, of course. You know, you do your thing, you know, you the big guy or whatever. But to me, it's the heart of our people. You know, it's the heart. Who has that heart? And I'll show you how to get involved. You know, like that's just it. You know? Thank you. I'm sorry.
I want to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
That's right. So my question, so one of the things that we do, we help, people get connected with, free extended, okay? And I understand that this service is for people who's on government assistance. But a lot of our seniors, even though they're not on government assistance, they need this free service. Their income might be a little higher. They're in a situation where they need this free service. So is there some way that funds can be allocated to people who have a little higher income so that they can have this affordable connectivity just like everybody else?
Sorry, for which resource?
Internet essentials.
Yes.
So,
Internet plus. It's plus time. Internet essentials plus. Sorry.
We can look into it.
yeah,
Go ahead, I don't know off the top of my head.
yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for being here. We appreciate all of your amazing ideas and questions. Please feel free to stay in touch. If you didn't sign in, please sign in. And then also there's lots of booklets, so feel free to take some.
And can we do a group photo too? Oh, and the presentation.
Can I just say something, Donovan? In my memory, we've never had such an engaged state rep as you. Whether you're sure.
Man, you know I'm injured. I'm still here, baby.
Nah,